Okay, so I make the time 9:33, so we will start today. Good morning and welcome to the Opportunities in Central Europe for South West Automotive Companies webinar, brought to you by the Department for International Trade Southwest and Business West. My name is Mark and I work for the events team here at DIT. Before we start today's webinar, here are some housekeeping points. If you're having any technical difficulties, please type them into the chat function on the right-hand side of your screen and direct them to DITSW events, and I will endeavour to help. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat tab. We've allowed time at the end for these to be answered. We will try our best to get through all of the questions, but those who are unable to answer, we will follow up after the event. Finally, please note this webinar will be recorded. As you can see from our screens, we have a busy agenda for the next hour and a half. I'd like to start by introducing Ruta Aesthorpe, who has experience and expertise in international campaigns, trade promotions and inward investment, and is a senior member of management for the Society of Motor Manufacturing Traders. Ruta has also recently created and managed the UK International Advisory Board and is going to talk to us today about the voice of the UK motor industry. Over to you, Ruta.
Thanks, Mark. Good morning, everyone. As Mark said, my name is Ruta Aesthorpe. I work as the head of international and UK events at the SMMT. SMMT is the largest automotive trade body in the UK. We represent, we have over 860 members at the moment, and we represent the UK automotive sector here in UK and overseas. So given now we have a deal in a form of a trade and cooperation agreement, the industry can now finally sort to look to grow with more certainty. You know, the deal itself provides for tariff and quota-free trade for most automotive goods, ensuring for the integrated nature of the UK and European automotive industries can continue. And, you know, I think inevitably there will be some teething issues in cross-border trade, but I think these being overcome with the support of the government, and we are looking to develop further international links with our European partners. So today it's very important for us to be here as well, so thank you very much for the invite. You know, what we're currently working on within sort of SMMT and sort of the UK automotive industry, you know, there's a lot of work towards the shift of electrification. You know, this is a priority for the EU and the UK, which has recently announced the end of the sale of the conventional petrol and diesel cars and vans by 2030, and hybrids being by 2035. This is an immense challenge and will require the transformation of the sector. You know, massive investment in battery manufacturing and sort of complete market shift in less than a decade. It's a huge challenge, but we also see this as an opportunity, one we are very keen to develop. And that's where the international team within SMMT sort of comes in the electrification and various subsectors that we work with. So SMMT International helps companies to grow overseas. We do that by various events. So they organize trade missions, delegations, roundtable discussions, events all over the globe. Europe being one of the key markets for us. We also help to make connections for overseas companies here in the UK. So we do work both sides. There's a lot of UK events that we sort of cater to help the overseas companies to meet the buyer, to get into supply chain and to make the right connections. We work with a lot of partners such as, you know, Santander. We very closely work with DAT and other sort of subsector stakeholders. There's a lot of things on SMMT website that you can sort of get help. Not, you know, you don't necessarily be a SMMT member to get a lot of sort of intelligence on automotive sector. So I do encourage you to look at the website, things like automotive supplier finder, and things like, if you Mark could just go to the next slide, please, which shows our sort of monthly newsletter that we provide. So the monthly newsletter that we do, you can simply subscribe by dropping us an email. And the newsletter gives you sort of the range of activities that we do overseas and UK. But it's not just SMMT. We list of you know, partners that we work with and promote sort of UK automotive sector overseas and some activities here in the UK. So if you do would like, you know, want to keep in touch on what is happening on sort of government funding on the upcoming events, please I do encourage you to subscribe to that. That's it. I think that's it from me. I've been told to keep it short, but I will be online if you do have any questions. I'll be happy to answer. Thank you, Noel.
Thank you very much, Rita. I'd now like to pass straight over to Paul Brooks, who leads the manufacturing sector team with Santander Corporate and Commercial across the UK, and is heavily focused on helping UK manufacturers to improve productivity and to look at new markets beyond the UK. Over to you, Paul.
Thanks, Mark. Good morning to everyone in the Southwest, and if, I'm sure, like me, you're getting battered by Storm Christoph this morning. It's pretty wet and windy out there. Yeah, just a few words from me. I head the manufacturing team at Santander, as Mark has said, but I also focus on the automotive sector, hence being on today's call with other partners. I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about Santander. We're a big bank, but we offer a lot of non-financial solutions as well. So I want to position us as a partner for you on your journey to international trade, whether it be in the Central and Eastern Europe that we're talking about today, or across the globe. Specifically in terms of the automotive sector, we understand the challenges that you as automotive businesses are facing at the moment, whether it be pandemic related and the impact on supply chains, whether it's Brexit related and navigating the 1,200 pages of text that now go behind the trade and cooperation agreement that Ruta's already referenced, or if it's the existing industry challenges around electrification and the reduction in the number of vehicle platforms from Oems. Those are all some areas that we understand and are comfortable with in terms of helping businesses. So moving on, we operate a team approach. Monica, my colleague, is not on the call today. I think she's here as a guest, but we work as a team. Monica heading up the country side of things. I'm heading up the sector side of things. So that's the team approach that we have. You can see the contact details there, and anything that you need from us will be supported through myself or through Monica. Just moving on then quickly, a little word about Santander. We've got 160 plus years of history. We're a global bank. We're in the top 20 in terms of size, but we're fully invested in the UK. We're the fifth biggest commercial lender here. We have more than 600,000 business customers in the UK alone, and over 5 million across the globe. So that's the extent of our network, and that gives us a little bit of background in terms of what we're talking about here today. But I think what we do recognise as a big global bank is no one bank can do everything themselves. So we offer full coverage via our Trade Club Alliance, which we've established over the last few years, which covers 60 plus countries and looks after the vast majority of trading nations that the UK trades with, and in particular the automotive sector. So other banks have probably wider coverage on their own, but not as much coverage as us in terms of the Trade Club Alliance. In terms of the map you see in front of you, the red countries are Santander businesses. So in the UK, Germany, Poland, Spain, Portugal, the US, Mexico, and most of South America. And the purple coverage is where we have alliance partner banks. So the main trading nations, and a few more being added in 2021. So let's just move on, conscious of time, quickly to how we can support the automotive sector. And these 6 areas here are fundamental. I'm not going to go through all of them. You won't be surprised to see funding and growth there from a bank. Yes, we can do all the banking side of things, but I wanted to focus just a little bit on bureaucracy and logistics and connectivity and expertise. Those are the 2 sort of key areas where we offer support in the UK and in market, through our Trade Club Alliance partners or through market entry specialists such as Altius, based in the Central and Eastern Europe region in particular. We work very much with DIT and SMMT as well. We partner with those organisations throughout, so we can offer support alongside those partners, whether it's in the UK or internationally. So my final slide is just a summary really of how Santander can support your businesses beyond banking. Throughout the journey, throughout the 5 pain points that we identified, from trusted connections, bureaucracy, supply chain logistics, to those banking propositions and helping you set up in market. We do it on a sector basis. and with automotive being one of the key subsectors of manufacturing. And finally, it's through an ecosystem of partners, whether it be the Trade Club Alliance I've mentioned, or whether it be non-banking partners, just a small selection of them are mentioned there. We can provide solutions for you throughout those 5 pain points, and not just in terms of a financial point of view. So thank you for listening. Contact details are there. I'll be on the call if you want me to answer any questions later, and I will hand back to Mark.
Thank you very much for that, Paul. I'm now pleased to introduce Lucio Mihajlovski, who is the Deputy Director for the Department for International Trade in the British Embassy, Budapest. And with this team of 6, they focus on mobility, smart city solution, and electric vehicles. Although, of course, the classical supply chain still plays a major role in the region, together with agriculture and construction machinery. Over to you, Lucio.
Thank you, Mark. I want to thank you, Mark and Barbara, our ITA from Southwest, supporting us and supporting you companies in getting access to new markets. I'm Lucio Mihajlovski. I'm leading the automotive team in Central Europe. We have a number of countries belonging to our campaign, as we call it, and you can see here in the slide and then hear from them later. Poland, Hungary, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Romania, and Bulgaria, but also in the smaller countries where we have only, let's say, one person in DIT, we have contributions when necessary. What are we working on? We are working obviously in supporting companies in the traditional automotive supply chain. So this would be all the way from, let's say, making connections to OEMs, tier 1s, tier 2s in some of our markets. Aftermarket, there was a number of companies, there has been a number of companies from the UK that we supported to get in touch with aftermarket distributors in the region, with big focus in our region on mobility, connectivity, smart cities. This is because simply the governments in the region have realized, obviously the OEMs as well, that this is the direction of travel, and we have a more and more and bigger number of contacts from the UK from companies which are in the mobility field. How we provide our support as DIT? We are all based in the embassies. We are happy to get in touch with companies either directly, sometimes ITAs such as Barbara connect us with a specific company saying that I have this great company working on this, having this amazing product or this amazing service. We schedule a call, and then all the colleagues that you will hear from in the call, 5, 6 of us in the countries, we will be joining that one. And then depending on what is being discussed at the call and how we can support you, you can engage with them individually further. We obviously have off-the-shelf information as well, or we can provide, 1 or 2 direct contacts that we already have. Obviously, sometimes companies want a more detailed market research, which is bespoke only for them, and this is when we have a chargeable scheme, but this is, I think, second or third step. First, we should engage and see what your interests are and how we can help you and provide you with information, general information about the markets. Obviously, events, now virtual, a lot of them, lobbying for companies, especially the bigger ones, and introductions to partners. I will try to change to the next slide. Yes. So our mobility campaign and automotive campaign in Central Europe, more and more our Central Europe region is becoming the innovation hub. Why? Because in the past 20 years, it has been known as the manufacturing hub. All companies, foreign companies, were coming in to set up facilities here for manufacturing, but now it's changing, also because salaries are increasing, but also because they have very good qualified staff and engineers in this region as well. UK businesses are working actively with the companies in Central Europe region, but it's, as I said, it's more about interest in technology, mobility, and some of it is still automotive supply chain and becoming suppliers. In terms of technology, mobility, and the future, if you allow, I will focus on this because, yes, you will hear also from my colleagues on OEMs in the region, like JLR in Slovakia, like the German OEMs, like the Japanese, the Korean batteries manufacturers, where we also try to open doors for UK companies. But I would like to pay attention more to the mobility angle of things in my presentation. So, for example, in Hungary, we have one of the most advanced proving grounds in the world, designed by our Horiba Myra from the UK, where we already had other companies supplying to this proving ground, and we plan to connect. Of course, we would like to connect more of them. There is a number of electric projects in the region, the big German OEMs, but also local companies sometimes engage into a number of electric projects, including electric buses. Electrification is very strong in Hungary, in Poland, and you will hear from my colleagues. Manufacturing of batteries. We are also trying to open doors there because, as you know, if you try to enter a supply chain here where manufacturing takes place with a German OEM, they will just send you to Munich. Or if you try to enter the supply chain of a Korean or Japanese company, it would not be easily done here, but that's why we cooperate with colleagues from Korea, Japan, and Germany and try to open doors there centrally. Also, let's say we organize sessions, and I forgot to mention this, dedicated bespoke sessions, let's say with OEMs. We had one such with Santander and SMMT last year with JLR, where the procurement director of JLR was presenting how companies can enter their supply chain. And we plan to resume these. And of course, through Barbara, you will all be kept informed. And please join those that you can. Procurement of electric hydrogen buses, also increasing interest in the region on this retrofitting of buses. You know, in some of the poorer cities or countries where they wouldn't afford a £500,000 new electric or hybrid or hydrogen bus, they would rather opt for retrofitting all their buses, and we do cooperate with a number of UK companies on this. And as I said, hydrogen, increasing interest in hydrogen, let's say in Slovenia, but also Bulgaria and a number of countries. What we also did is that we engaged in a smart city survey. So we went out to cities. Now, forgetting about companies and partners for a while, but we went out to cities in Central Europe and we asked them, what do you plan to invest in the next 2 or 3 years? This survey was drafted by experts, and we have close to 50 cities replying to this survey, and I will share the details in the next slide. We had a webinar with UK cities, and we had 35 UK tech companies speaking to this 40 plus Central European cities from 10 Central European countries. Really interesting, and I just want to share. I just want to say that this is shareable. So if anyone is interested, just please do contact myself. Some of the results of the survey, the interest in these countries, and you will see it's regarding smart ticketing, smarter buildings, smart parking, street lighting, people, crowd movement, dynamics, Internet of Things, usage of drones in a number of areas, and then also electric buses, charging stations. What is their interest in terms of charging stations and the number of charging stations they plan to invest in? This is all data that we have gathered, and we are happy to share with the companies that find this of interest. This is my last slide. So these are my contact details. Please write them down, and this is my mobile phone, so feel free to contact me. As I said, our team is here to support you. We'll initially have a call, discuss if and what kind of support you may need, because it may turn out that out of the, 10 Central or 6 Central European countries that are in this campaign, maybe one of them is more suitable for you because of a certain reason, or maybe you just want to explore all of them, and we'll agree on the best way to go forward together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucian. I'm now pleased to hand over to the Country Director for Bulgaria with the UK Department for International Trade, Tim Busseret. With over 20 years of experience, Tim is very familiar with the challenges and opportunities of doing business there and is happy to help companies to succeed in the market. Over to you, Tim.
Great. Yeah, thanks very much for the introduction. And thank you to Lubcho for lining up our presentation so well. I think Bulgaria is first because we're first in alphabetical order, and I'm happy with that. Next slide, please. Just to build on Lubcho's comments a bit there. Of course, you're probably aware that Central and Eastern Europe has seen very rapid growth in the automotive sector, particularly over the last 20 years. And I think there are a couple of main trends going on there. One is, as Lubcho has explained, that there's been a trend from sort of pure manufacturing into higher value add and into greater levels of innovation. So in Bulgaria, for example, that's taken the shape of auto electronics. And I think the other trend we've seen is that companies originally came primarily into Central Europe to places like Poland, Czech Republic, particularly Slovakia, very attracted by the low cost base, the low labor costs, operating costs, and also the availability of skilled talent. And that wave has then kind of spread downwards south and east into Southeast Europe to countries like Bulgaria, Serbia, Macedonia, and so on. So that's a trend which is continuing. And you can see that in the shape of the Bulgarian auto sector today. There are quite a lot of foreign and local supply chain companies. It's a large part of the GDP. There aren't any OEMs here yet, although I think it's only a matter of time. Last year, Volkswagen were looking at Bulgaria and Turkey to set up a plant, and I think they've gone for Turkey in the end, although that's not quite final yet. There are, however, a number of tier 1-2s like Magda, Sensata, and Visteon, and so on. And then, of course, there are a lot of 3s and 4s below that. UK companies here include William Hughes, Nash Phelps, you may have heard of them, Delta Controls, which make very high-end pressure gauges. And as an illustration of the sort of move towards a higher end and innovation, Bosch have set up a major R&D center the year before in the new Sofia Tech Park. You can find more information about all of this on the website of the Automotive Cluster, which, as you see at the bottom of the slide, is automotive.bg. Next slide, please. Very specifically on opportunities around green transport. I think this is a common theme across the region, but all the major municipalities here are investing in electric buses and charging infrastructure. A lot of this is driven by air quality as a major issue, largely a political issue as well for mayors. There's a lot of public concern about this. There are significant funds available through EU operating programs to support this under the EU's Clean Growth and Green Recovery initiatives. As an example, Varna tendered during the summer last year for 60 electric buses. Sofia has quite an active program. They're opening up new electric bus routes, and they also have a project to open up hydrogen bus routes as part of a larger hydrogen strategy for Bulgaria. That's quite interesting in its own right because there's a large potential for developing green hydrogen in this region, given the solar PV capacity and also the wind capacities to some degree. One other point worth mentioning: very successful electric car sharing scheme called Spark. We've been helping them with finding UK suppliers for their business. Next slide, please. This one might be a little bit off beam for the audience, I'm not sure, but we do also focus under this campaign on Agritech. This is in Bulgaria quite a large sector and a large part of cultivated land, mainly arable crops, as you see. After the democratic changes in the 90s, the land was often restored to its original owners, and it became highly fragmented and difficult to farm on an economic scale. But in the last 20 years or so, it's become increasingly consolidated under large agribusinesses, which does mean, of course, that it's easier to address that market. In addition, there are significant funds available through the European Union. I've quoted 3 billion there under the last program, but in fact, there's a similar sum available under the current program 2021 to 27, and a lot of this is going into modernizing farm equipment and introducing precision agriculture. So if that's your thing, then we'd be happy to talk about it. There are members of the Bata Agro Trade Association who represent the largest part of the imports, so that's a good route to market. I think that's the end of my slides. Just one more, if you will, with my contact details. So if any of that is of interest to you, I'm very happy to carry on the conversation. just drop me an email or give me a call. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for that, Tim. Next, we have Gabor Ameli, apologies, who is a senior trade advisor for the Department for International Trade based in Hungary. Currently, he focuses mainly on the automotive sector, as well as dealing with high-value infrastructure projects. Over to you, Gabor.
Thank you very much, Mark, and good morning all, and thank you very much for joining. Today I will make an attempt on giving you a brief snapshot about the Hungarian automotive landscape and to briefly explain the situation and the ambitions the country has. So if you can move to the next slide, please, Mark. Okay, anyhow, sadly I can't see my slides, but okay, there you have my contact details. Right now I have managed to catch up. So here in the beginning, just a brief overview about where we are located. Basically all of my colleagues will tell you the same, that we are in the heart of Europe. The location as such is ideal because we are close to the Western countries, which serve as a automotive heartland of mainland Europe. You will see the size, the population. What is important to know that the whole country is very much Budapest centered, so the capital as such is playing a vital role. Nearly 40% of the GDP is being produced there. In pre-COVID times, we used to have an unemployment rate. Sadly, these numbers have been going up in the last 12 months, certainly. But still, one of the advantages that we can offer to companies interested in locating manufacturing capacities over here is the low corporate income tax. There you see the comparison to other regional markets. Next slide, please. The local automotive industry. This is a very, very plain image as such, but it will give you an indication of how everything looks. What I have placed over here are the OEMs. You will possibly sense that the country is very closely tied up to the German industry. Hungary is labeling itself as being proud of having all premium car manufacturers over here. So you will notice that the first bird in that respect was back then, but it's not fully a car plant rather than an engine plant. Opel, which belongs right now to the PSA group, after the change of the regime, they were the ones beginning, and followed by Audi, which operates the largest engine plant in the world, in Győr, where they are producing 1.66 million engines and 150,000 cars. The most popular models being the Q3, they are making nearly 95,000 of that each year, followed by the Q3 Sportsback, the TT and the TT Roadster. And in terms of investment, the next one was Daimler in Kecskemét. They opened up just 5 or 6 years ago, roughly. In terms of output numbers, they are producing nearly 200,000 cars with models like the CLA 200, 250E, 250E shooting brake, and they have announced that the first fully electric vehicle will be rolling off of their production line in Q4 2021, so this year. So we are hoping to see more of that. And I have also listed down BMW. BMW announced roughly 15 months ago that they will have their first fully electric plant in Debrecen, near to the Romanian border. This has been pushed back a little. We estimate that the plant will be up and running in 2024, and hopeful to see more electric vehicles coming from Hungary. And of course, not to forget about Suzuki. Suzuki actually was the first bird, if we are not taking into account the whole German car manufacturers. They were the ones coming first into Hungary, and they are producing models like so. Needless to say, Germany Okay. Can you still hear me? Because for a second I have lost signal, I believe.
Yep, we sure can. You were going
Cool.
in and out, so if you can just go back about 30 seconds and go from there, so we can hear you from there. All right.
Okay. Hopefully I was there around Suzuki, and I was just unfolding the fact that nearly a quarter of our trade is Germany related. So hence it comes as no wonder that the supplier base is also driven from Germany and such. Next slide, please. Okay. Hopefully you will be able to see the slide. I can't, but I will carry on. The slide should list OEMs and tier suppliers. You will see the vast majority of the OEMs I have talked about, and there are some other companies like Jaguar Land Rover with an engineering office, or Ford or Nissan with a service center over here. We have a good number of tier suppliers, and as you've previously mentioned, we are focusing on R&D quite heavily. Knorr-Bremse, they have their European R&D facility over here near Budapest, and I will briefly touch on the future because in recent times we have seen an upsurge in battery manufacturers coming to the country. So next slide, please. Okay, the next slide should give you an indication on mainly companies from Asia, South Korea, or China coming to the country. Everything is battery related. SK Innovation have a huge plant over here. Samsung have a huge plant here, and other suppliers who are doing copper foil or other components important to the battery technology are also present here. Next slide, please. Here I have listed a few numbers.
Okay, so I think we've just lost the ball. Just going to wait for about 10 seconds, see if it comes back on. Okay.
Mark, if you'd like, I could take over from Gabor for the last one or two slides.
Yeah, looks like that'd be great. Thank you very much.
So yes, these are the numbers providing details on the industry in Hungary, the number of employed people. And again, automotive plays a significant role, just like in Slovakia and Czech Republic, with some 10 to 15% of GDP being for the automotive sector. So very, very important sector in these countries. And as Gabor mentioned, we are moving more from manufacturing towards value-added services. For example, I mentioned that JLR has a huge manufacturing plant in Slovakia, and we are in touch with them. But also they have an important engineering office here in JLR in Hungary, in Budapest, where they develop many new models and so on. So yes, Gabor, would you like to take over? I see you. Or we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Okay, I will continue. So yes, if we can go to the next slide, please, Mark. E-mobility. Again, a number of e-mobility projects. I mentioned the German OEMs before. I mentioned the autonomous proving ground as well in Zalaegerszeg. Audi has a new project in Hungary with the e-tron. Daimler also has announced a number of new plans with electric vehicles around their plant in Kecskemét. And as we said, BMW, we expect full production to start there in 2024. And for us now, it's something new that we are working on, trying to open doors with these Korean and Japanese companies for potential UK suppliers there. But yes, this is ongoing. Thank you, Mark. Next slide, please. And I think we're running out of time, so I will quickly go through this one. The proving ground, I mentioned it already in Zalaegerszeg. In battery production, we try to get as many UK suppliers as possible. And definitely we try to keep in touch with engineering offices. We try to get somehow connections with UK engineering capabilities, supporting, let's say, automotive companies from the region to develop their own intellectual property and move up the supply chain or the value chain. Thank you. Mark? Thank you.
Thank you, Lupcio, and thank you, Gabor. So, next we have Manuela Christesco, who is a Trade and Development Advisor from the Department for International Trade for British Embassy, Bucharest, Romania. Manuela leads on the clean mobility automotive sector, including smart city, and proactively scopes opportunities in Romania in Agritech, predominantly on precision agriculture. Over to you, Manuela.
Hi, thank you for the introduction, Mark. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. So today I will provide you with an overview of the Romanian automotive industry. So here, let me move the slide. You can see our agenda. I will show you some key industry statistics. I'll talk about key players and stakeholders, what are the main trends, and also I'll touch upon general opportunities. I know I only have 10 minutes, so I say we make a start. So first, these are the key industry numbers. The industry turnover is valued at 30 billion euros, which accounts for 14% contribution in GDP and 26% of exports. In terms of production, in 2019, 500,000 vehicles were produced in Romania. We have around 600 tiers 1-3 suppliers, and around 230,000 people are under direct employment. Labor cost in production was almost 6 euros per hour in 2018. National vehicle fleet is around 8 million vehicles, and an important fact here is that half of it is more than 9 years old. But now let's see who are the main key players. So Romania is hosting 2 Oems, Renault, Dacia, and Ford. Dacia produced in 2019 at their Mioveni plant 350,000 vehicles, comprising of models such as Sandero, Logan, or Duster. You might heard on the news that they released a full electric model, Dacia Spring. Unfortunately, this is being produced in China, not here in Romania, but yeah, do check it out. They claim to have produced the most affordable full electric car. On the other hand, we have Ford, and they produced in 2019 in their Craiova plant 140,000 units, mainly for export. I believe 19% of their production is for export. They have 2 assembly lines for the EcoSport, and since 2019, the new Puma model, which is the first hybrid car which is being assembled in Romania. They also have a separate division for the production of their engines, the EcoBoost engines. In terms of buses and heavy vehicles, I would like to mention Roman Brașov, Astra Trolleybus, and BFC Truck and Bus. This is a Turkish company. Moving further, here you have the major tiers in Romania. This slide is quite straightforward, but I would like to spend some time on it just to give you time to recognize the companies. So I hope you can see it well. So if you are working already with them or they are on your radar, just be aware they are present in Romania, and we would be happy to open a dialogue on your behalf. I would highlight here the tire sector. So we have 3 of the biggest tires producers, Continental, Pirelli, and Michelin, each with several factories and even research centers. I would also highlight Bosch. We have a really good relationship with them. And also down below, the batteries sector, yeah. So just please be aware that we have 2 battery producers, Rombat in Caranda in Romania. In terms of main stakeholders, I want to mention some key industry associations. The first one is ACAROM, Association of Car Manufacturers, which is actually chaired by Renault Dacia. So an important tip here is that if you want to reach Renault Dacia, you can try to do so through them, as Dacia takes steps for local integration of suppliers on components through ACAROM. Second one is Appia. We are working very closely with them and we have good contact. I usually turn to them whenever I need support for identified partners or distributors or contacts on behalf of the British companies. We have several relatively new smart city associations, but the most I've worked with is AVER, which is part of the ICPE Institute for Development of Sustainable Technology, and we even organize some events for promoting the leading role of the UK in future mobility. The largest car importer is Porsche, but we also have some official British dealerships in Romania. We have Jaguar Land Rover, Aston Martin since 2019, and Mini and Rolls-Royce, both under the BMW group. Now let's have a look at the market specifics and main trends, and I'll give you some hints here. If you were to search for top 3 Romanian exporters, you will find out all 3 are from the automotive industry, namely Dacia, Ford, and Daimler through their company Star Assembly. So overall, the manufacturing and advanced manufacturing industry is of particular interest for the government, which is also encouraging foreign investment through their Invest Romania organization. Another fact is that in 2019, 73% of total imported cars were second-hand. So if you provide any after-sales service, spare parts, service and maintenance, or dismantling services and equipment, well, here this might be the right place for you. I mentioned earlier the R&D, so here I can develop a bit. We've had foreign investment in R&D, so Bosch opened a research and development center. We have an R&D center for autonomous vehicles. Continental also has 2 research centers, and Renault as well has one in Dâmbovița County, the largest outside Europe. So this led to significant evolution in latest technologies in terms of production of environmentally friendly engines, production of high-tech gearboxes, advanced microelectronics and mechatronics, advanced technologies and components made from plastic, rubber, and composites, and also digital service for the automotive industry. The market of electric and hybrid car is very dynamic. You see here in 2019 the acquisitions increased by 150% for the full electric cars and 79% for the hybrid cars. Well, these increases are very high because the volume is small, but we've actually noticed a substantial growth in terms of acquisitions of electric and hybrid buses aimed for public transport. And we expect even more growth as there is increased pressure from the EU towards cleaner and clean mobility. Here about the smart cities, well, my colleague Lucia also talked about already about our mapping exercise. These are the main smart city verticals identified as priorities in Romania, in no particular order. The last one I think is more relevant for us. There is need for electric charging stations, smart parking, and actually I would like to highlight smart parking. If you provide such solution, please get in touch with me. I'm currently working on a proposal for Cebu City, who actually requested specifically this solution. Traffic monitoring, on-the-go connectivity, electric cars, and buses. So this is my last slide, and I try to summarize, some of the key points in terms of general opportunities. So there is demand for supplier in the production of electric and electronic systems, tires, car seats, steering wheels, or plastic components manufacturers. Also, there is demand for industrial automation equipment, and I'll give you 2 examples here. Dacia plans to increase its robotic investment by 2023. We also know that Ford plans to increase their production of cars by 44% and their engine production by 15% by using more efficient equipment and machineries. There is demand for know-how and innovative technologies more related to the smart cities. the government has funds allocated for developing electric station networks, and also there are funds from the EU for purchasing buses or other smart city solutions. There is a potential for an investment in the components and tire sectors, and I give here the example of Continental. We know that they plan to invest more in staff training, plant infrastructure, and state-of-art equipment, and as mentioned before, the aftermarket products and services. So this was from me, my brief presentation. I hope you find it useful. Here are my contact details, and I think I cannot stress enough to contact us directly or through Barbara, the Southwest cluster. We are here in the market to support you, and feel free to drop us a line, even if you have an idea, a question, or you're just scoping the market, or you are already present in the market. It will be good, just to know each other and see how we can support your activities here. So that was me. Thank you very much for your attention, and looking forward to engage at some point timely for you.
Thank you very much, Manuela. We now have Poland's key account manager for clean mobility and automotive for the Department for International Trade, Małgorzata Olton, who focuses on clean mobility, electric vehicles and e-buses, EV battery development, charging infrastructure, R&D, hydrogen, as well as smart city solutions, and traditional automotive supply chain and aftermarket opportunities. Over to you, Małgorzata.
Hello, thank you, Mark. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you today and to present Poland as one of the Central Eastern European markets. I'm based in Warsaw at the British Embassy, currently working from home, so greetings from the really cold and frosty Warsaw. But back to the subject, let me present today the Polish automotive and try to encourage you to come and do business with the local companies. So I will ask Mark to fold the slides, please. So next slide, please. And as you've heard from our great previous speakers, the Central Eastern Europe is very varied. There are certain things that are similar to across the borders. And one of the similarities, the absolute strength of the automotive sector. So as regards Poland, the sector is the second largest after food and drink in terms of generating GDP, exports, and also employing them, being one of the biggest employers. There are 200,000 people employed in the industry. Of course, there is a current change of the scenario because of the post-COVID and still COVID crisis that we face. However, out of the 38 million people that live in Poland, in total, around almost 8% is employed in the automotive industry. More of that find their workplaces in auto trade related services, so supply chains, transport, deliveries, etc. One of the things I would like to take you away after today's presentations are the strengths of the Polish market, and that's clearly are the buses, electric buses. Poland is a very strong place for manufacturing buses, especially electric ones, also trailers and semi-trailers. Parts and accessories, and recently it became a battery sort of hub for the region as well. You can see on that slide a rough map of Poland with the major cities and major OEMs as well as bus manufacturers located here. I will focus on them in my next slide. So if I could please ask you, Mark, to change the slide now. Thank you. Looking at the strength of the industry, automotive industry, we can see that the value of industrial production in Poland, as divided by various sectors, again places the automotive sector on the second place after food. and drink. And it has not changed still in the present time. So it remains roughly the same, followed by other sectors that you can see in that pie chart. It's just a quick glimpse to give you an idea how the industry is structured. So if I could ask you, Mark, to change the slide, please. Thank you. This is an important part that I would like to focus on now. When we look at the division of automotive sector, we see that buses incorporate 38% of the total share in the EU market. What is important are the major players here are the Solaris, Rafako Bus, MAN, Volvo, Autosan, Scania, and Solbus. So quite a lot of OEMs located in Poland. The leader at present is Solaris. It used to be a Polish-owned company established a couple of decades ago. Recently, it's been acquired by the Spanish stakeholders. Rafako Bus is the second on the slide that I wish to focus on. This is the new development of and heavily supported by the Polish government as well. So it's the recipient of the Polish funds that have been and also a new project that has just been developed. So we've got a Rafako electric bus that has been designed and launched last year, and the production is starting this year. So if we are to speak about the opportunities, the buses, electric buses, and the supply chain might be one. MAN buses, they've got their big production facilities in Starachowice, New Warsaw, so central Poland, and then the remaining big players as well, with their big manufacturing sites in Poland. So that's about buses. That's one of the things that I hope you will take after today's presentation, so electric buses and buses in general. As regards vehicles, my colleagues Emma before, Gabor and Lubcio and team, they've spoken about Central Eastern Europe as being the site for OEMs. We do have OEMs located in Poland as well. One of the biggest ones is the Tychy-based Fiat, which is the FCA, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles OEM, as well as PSA Group, Volkswagen, obviously. We've got Mercedes and Toyota engines manufactured here. I will talk about the electric engines in a while. They've got their big production facilities with the whole supply chain spread across Poland. We will see soon on the next slides how they are positioned. At this point, I should also mention one of the third strengths of the Polish automotive industry, namely car parts and accessories, components. We've got a couple of big exporters as well as manufacturers of automotive parts located, Valeo, Delphi, as well as distributors that are known across the European Union market and also outside of the EU, Intercars and Autopartner. I have mentioned at the beginning that Poland is becoming the hub for EV battery manufacturing. This is in line what my colleagues from the region mentioned, namely that Central Eastern Europe is becoming quite an attractive place both to invest as well as tap into the supply chain of electric solutions for both vehicles as well as buses. We do have a big investment of LG Chem in place with two factories being under construction. Johnson Matthey with two factories being under construction, and LG Chem they already invested here with huge grants and support by the Polish government as well. We do have Mercedes and Toyota EV battery manufactured in Poland as well. and varied local smaller producers that will be listed in my next slide. When you look at the main areas of Polish exports, again, just to emphasize, we see buses and coaches being the bespoke leaders, as well as light vehicles and vans, trailers, semi-trailers, car components, and also wheels and rims. We do have a couple of wheel manufacturers based in Poland as well. So that's something that is one of the leading products. Could I ask for the next slide, please? Thank you. This is an interesting map of Poland that helps you to visualize the main automotive clusters. When we talk about the Polish automotive industry, we can imagine this as a couple of clusters that are really vibrant and active, and they are located in the way you can see them in that slide. When we talk about Solaris and MAN manufacturing site, as well as Volkswagen, this is the cluster that is around Poznań, which is the central western part of Poland. And this is also where Johnson Matthey have placed their recent investment with their battery plants. So that's one of the clusters. Moving towards south, you can see Volvo manufacturing sites with Jelcz military vehicles. That's around Wrocław. We've got JK and drivelines manufactured there, and other sites and other tier 1 and tier 2 manufacturers. So that's the second place where our foreign contacts usually go when they want to get in touch with automotive companies. Then moving towards south, there is a very important cluster where a PSA Group is located, as well as Fiat Automotive Industries, and that's the Silesian automotive cluster. That's the one that is grouping over 160 tier 1 and tier 2 companies. We, as DIT in Warsaw, we have very good relations with this cluster. We've brought the members of the Silesian automotive cluster to Northeast Automotive Alliance before, as well as all other three clusters that I've mentioned here are our, I would say, risk-saying regular contacts. So if there is any type of an event, trade mission, industry day, we try to engage them and present their members to the UK offer, and the other way around. Okay, could I ask you, Mark, to change the slide, please? So I'm conscious of the time, so I need to speed up. However, the reason I'm showing you the graphical and the map sort of location is to give you a flavor of the Polish automotive. I have mentioned the future trend, which absolutely is the clean mobility and electrifying the transportation. We do have Daimler factory in Jawor, Johnson Matthey, LG Chem, Impact Clean Power Technology in Warsaw, SK Innovations. There are really a number of companies that are changing into EV manufacturing now. There are a number of investors approaching and asking to enter the Polish market. So definitely this is the direction, supported by the Polish government in line with the EU regulations. The net zero agenda is very high and highly discussed, and we as the DAT and the British Embassy Warsaw, we support this by a number of events, trade events, automotive events. We've cooperated with SMMT, with Santander, Paul, who presented today, as well as we've got a number of regional initiatives. So it's just to give you a flavor. Could we now move the slide, please? Okay, and now when we look at the sector opportunities, so it's, I wait for the slide, yes, thank you, to be changed. The sector opportunities, I have already touched upon them, but to sum them up, these will be absolutely electric buses, the EV battery components, as well as the EV battery supply chain, spare parts and accessories. There is an interesting project that we are exploring now, is the Polish electric vehicle, which is just being it's been released last year, the project and the prototype, and the Polish Automotive Association has been tasked to start commercialize it. So there are plans for the production to start. That's one of the opportunities. Happy to provide more details if anyone needs that. EV charging stations, of course, an expanding area and very much in need due to the growing EV market. One of the recently explored routes are the hydrogen opportunities. The Polish government is now producing its report and the industrial strategy as regards the hydrogen solutions. We've had a couple of very successful webinars and workshops with the UK companies, including hydrogen for transport. So also a new opportunity. And of course, a lot of ODI investments. We cooperate closely with PAI, which is the Polish government agency, similar to DIT, where they can advise on any sort of investment opportunities. Could I ask for the next slide, please? This is just a slide with the key industry contacts. Anyone that wishes to approach the clean mobility and automotive market in Poland should be aware of these main stakeholders. I've listed their websites there. We do keep in very close contacts with all of the associations and stakeholders listed here. I will not go in detail, conscious of running time, and I will not mention them one by one. However, all of these are key players. ZPM, Polish Association of Automotive Industry, has been working with SMMT very closely in the past. Silesian Automotive Cluster is the one that we've brought many times in pre-COVID times to many UK exhibitions, industry days, and we've arranged trips to Silesia as well. Polish Automotive Group is the one that is tasked with the Polish electric vehicle construction, and we do keep in touch with them to tap future opportunities. PSPA, the Association of Alternative Fuels, is the main government stakeholder now, helping the Polish government to follow the new electric and clean mobility route. And we've got very good contacts with these associations and with the heads of the associations. And automotive suppliers is the list of supply chain that with the main stakeholders in Poland. So this will give you an interesting takeaway after the presentation. Could I ask for the next slide, please, Mark? I will probably skip this post-COVID outlook for the automotive sector, because we are all in business and we know what it means for automotive, the recent times and the future direction. Just to emphasize that the Polish government is providing support for the automotive industry. Of course, it is a question whether how efficient it is, and recent lockdowns are not obviously doing any good. However, there are joint efforts, government and industry, to keep the business going. Mark, could I ask you to change the slide into almost the last one with the key automotive upcoming events? I've listed and tried to refresh the events that are maybe of your interest. The biggest one will be in April. I think it will be an online one. However, as Lubcha and my predecessors mentioned, we are all the time arranging a number of webinars, dedicated industry days, and one-to-ones with business and associations, which hopefully help you set up new contacts. So if you move the slide very quickly to the last one, which is thank you for hosting this webinar and joining the presentations. I pass the floor now to Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much for that. Now, before our final speaker today, please can I remind you all, if you do have any questions, to put them into the chat function on the right-hand side of your screen, and we can ask them to presenters afterwards. And we'll now be passing over to Michal Sventek, who is a trade advisor for the Department for International Trade for the British Embassy, Bratislava, to talk about Slovakia being a European hotspot for automotive. Over to you, Michal.
Thank you very much, and I hope that you can all hear me and see me. I see on the camera that I'm a bit darker than I usually am, I suppose just because of the lighting. So we can go to another slide. So nice to meet you. My name is Michal Sventek, and I work for the British Embassy here in Bratislava, Slovakia. I take care of the automotive and the healthcare sectors. You can maybe just take a screen grab of this, and I'm sure we'll be distributing the contact details afterwards. You can go to the next slide. Let me tell you something more about the Slovak automotive sector. The Slovak automotive sector is, I suppose, one of the biggest and leading sectors here in Slovakia, with over 275,000 workers employed directly and indirectly by the automotive industry. Out of which 177,000 workers are employed directly by the 4 OEMs and their tier 1 suppliers. As you can see, 50% share of our total industrial production is automotive industry, and it's around 13% of our GDP. We can go to the next one. So, Slovakia actually belongs to the top 20 countries in the world when it comes to production of automobiles. We always have about 1 million cars produced. The 1,100,000 was projected for 2020 before Corona hit, but in the previous years we've been always above 1 million. So we're number 18 when it comes to the whole world in absolute numbers, and when it comes to relative numbers, as in compared to the inhabitants, we're actually number 1 in the world. You can move to the next one. So the leaders in our automotive sector, I'd say, are the 4 OEMs. The oldest one being Volkswagen, Slovakia, set up near Bratislava, actually, with a turnover of 10.4 billion euros and almost 15,000 employees. They make a couple of different models, from Skoda to Audi to Porsche to Volkswagen. Then we have PSA Group. They moved in 2003. They're near Trnava, actually. Their turnover is 2.8 billion, and the number of employees is 4,500. Next one, we have Kia Motors, which were established in 2004. I should also mention that this presentation is actually a bit outdated, as they've changed their brand. They're no longer Kia Motors, they're just Kia, and their focus on the electric, the e-mobility and electric vehicles is now much bigger than before. But we'll get to that later. And then, of course, one that lies the closest to our heart, I suppose, as a UK OEM, that's Jaguar Land Rover, that moved in to Slovakia in 2018 to Nitra. We can go to the next one. As you noticed on the first slide when I mentioned how many workers we have within the automotive sector, the 177,000 that work with the OEMs, they also work with tier 1 suppliers. And the other 100,000, of course, are connected to tier 2 and tier 3, which leads me to the supply chain that we have here in Slovakia. It's very highly developed and is high quality, and we have over 350 automotive suppliers. They're spread out around the country, and you'll get basically anything from the wheels to the inside, like seats, plastic fillings, absolutely anything. You can go to the next one. And I should also mention, when it comes to R&D and innovation, Slovakia is also moving forward with that as well. We have very good government subsidies and many innovation initiatives. One that I should mention that's going to be talked about a bit more in the future now is company Innovat. They are actually developing a company to produce batteries here in Slovakia with government's help. We have contact details with them as well. So that's a very exciting development. In the next few years, they're actually planning to build a gigafactory. But it's not only about batteries here. We also have electric motors and components. We have charging stations, battery components, machinery, equipment, and so on. And multiple success stories when it comes to R&D and automotive as well. You can go to the next one. But electromobility and other R&D initiatives are not only the music of the future. We already have a couple of EVs produced here, whether it's plug-in hybrids, whether it's combination. All these, we have currently 17 models, some of which, of course, are production this year. And as I mentioned, Kia is actually moving to produce their electric vehicle in the next coming years. So we'll be seeing very exciting developments when it comes to that. So we can go to the next one. When it comes to opportunities, I already mentioned that we have government subsidies when it comes to electric vehicles. And of course, as all the OEMs slowly move towards e-mobility and other innovative ventures, I'd say that also provides the opportunity for British companies to supply them with parts and help with the R&D. So one of the opportunities, obviously, is e-mobility, electric vehicles. I should also mention hydrogen. The Slovak government, with this new program statement, mentioned that they'll be concentrating not only on electric vehicles when it comes to the mobility of the future, they'll be also concentrating on hydrogen. We're talking especially charging infrastructure. We're talking about procuring a small fleet of buses for a small to middle-sized city in Slovakia, just to see how it works, just to get people used to the technology, and slowly developing this into something more common around Slovakia. All right. Yes. I will be also sending the presentation contact details. I assume the organizer will be doing the same with the other presentations as well. There's also automotive vehicles, autonomous vehicles. We actually had a great conference with British guests last year, and it's certainly a topic that's being discussed. It was discussed, I suppose, within also the Smart Cities initiative my colleagues mentioned before, which I mentioned in the next bullet point, the Smart Cities. We're also talking about retrofitting buses in Slovakia. And with all this, obviously, the topic of safety comes up. And with the pandemic slowly, hopefully, coming to its end with the vaccination all around the world, we're also looking at rebuilding, or rather, the high demand after COVID slowly goes away. Anyways, let's move to the next slide. Yeah, so this is my last slide that I'd like to show you today. It's about top 10 reasons why you should invest in the automotive industry in Slovakia. Slovakia is one of those countries that claims to have the geographic center of Europe within it. And even though that's debatable, what's not debatable is we are very well positioned among also other countries within our region presented today, my colleagues. The connections are really strong, and if there are some suppliers and some opportunities that might not be exactly present in Slovakia at the moment, we have many great neighbors and great infrastructure. We have a wide supplier network, as I just said, political and economic stability within our country. We have the euro as a currency, as one of very few countries within our region. We are a leader in labor productivity. Our labor force is cost-effective, skilled, and educated. We have numerous technical schools, and we have a growing and developing R&D centers and innovation network. the government subsidizes automotive industry and provide different incentives into investment. And yeah, I suppose already having mentioned the infrastructure, I suppose unless you have any questions for me at the moment, I think that's all for me for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we are now going to go on to some Q&A. So we've got a couple of questions that have come in. So the starting one is, will we be sending the contact details and the presentation out? Yes, we will. We'll be sending them out within 24 hours after this event finishes. So we also have a few more that have come in. So I'm going to start off with one for Paul. Can Santander offer any financial support for automotive companies to visit a market?
Thanks, Mark. By financial support to visit a market, I'm not sure what the back end of that question. We don't offer grant support, but we can certainly help with making connections, and if a business is looking to invest in a particular market, then clearly we will talk to them, and I'm very happy to on a one-to-one basis agree some financial support for them if it's appropriate and if it's a good business case. So I guess the answer is yes. We're happy to talk to any individual business that is interested in looking at a new market. Each one will differ. It's a case-by-case basis, and that's the way in which we operate. And so whoever's posed that question, please reach out to me by email or on LinkedIn or over the phone, and we'll happily have that conversation with them.
Thank you very much. Lubcho, UK companies have been encouraged and supported to set up as CE markets. What are your thoughts in terms of UK companies doing business in CE markets given the transition?
Yes, thank you, Mark. So obviously, this is a big change for all of us. So we do see, let's say, some kind of first indications that businesses here in the region are wary, if I can use that word. They're trying to see how things develop. Are there going to be any tariffs and so on? I don't want to name companies and so on, but one of our colleagues here in the call mentioned that approaching an OEM, they said that, yes, we'll be happy to continue speaking to UK suppliers, but we need some time, or a month and so on, in order to see how the situation develops. So I think it will be a learning curve for all of us to see how things develop, and obviously it will depend on the further agreements, because some things have been set in stone with the agreement, but some, let's say, with some services, including here in mobility as well, might be covered in later agreements, to be honest. So we are here to make the connection and find the opportunities and make direct contacts with an existing, let's say, potential buyer or partner here in the region, also, let's say, governments and cities. Now, regarding, the fact itself, the export itself, and whether it will be a competitive offer, whether it will include some additional, tariff to it or not. I mean, this remains to be seen, but definitely, we hope that the change after this period will not be significant, meaning that our products and services will still be competitive. If this answers the question, please.
Thank you very much. So, Tim, one for you. What is the general feeling of Bulgaria/EU companies to trade with the UK companies, and what are your thoughts in terms of how best we can support our UK automotive supply chain going forward?
Hi, thanks for the question. I mean, I think in Bulgaria, and I would probably say within the region as a whole, companies are well disposed to working with the UK. The UK is seen as UK companies are seen as reliable, trustworthy partners. They're often very good. They're people-to-people links as well, which help to create that sense of familiarity and confidence. So there are, I think, something like 200,000 Bulgarians living in the UK and 15,000 Brits living in Bulgaria. Similar numbers in other countries in the region. So there's a good basis for doing business there. How can we help? Well, this is what Lubcha explained at the beginning. Essentially, our job is to connect companies to the opportunities in our region. So, if having seen our presentations and got an idea of how the market is developing, you see specific areas of interest, please feel free to get hold of us. However you like, chat, email, and we'll discuss your interest in more detail and figure out how we can follow up. And that might be on an individual basis, just by making introductions, or it could be through some kind of organized campaign activity like a conference or a webinar. But get in touch with us is the short answer.
Thank you very much. So I've got one for all of the presenters, which is there an appetite for R&D in the lower TRL levels? Our particular field is graphene, which has potential in many aspects of the automotive industry. Who would like to take that on? We can have a couple.
Yes, I can take that on, Mark. I would have to conclude that it's a very specific question. So I would be happy to have this, let's say, in writing in an email so that we can, explore it.
In contact.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, as it is a very specific question, of course, we'll try to have a look if there is some off-the-shelf information we can get a hold of or explore this issue further. But yes, please do get in touch with us, and we'll have a chat on Teams. Probably I can invite you for a call with Teams, and then we can discuss. This is for the gentleman or the lady who posed the question. Thank you.
For the person who asked the question, we'll put you in contact with Joe together this afternoon or tomorrow morning. All right.
Mark, I've got an input on that, if I may.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
So, support from Santander, research and development is vitally important at the current time, and we are supporting all forms of research and development. Manufacturing as a whole contributes probably about 65% of all R&D in the UK, and it's more important than ever to maintain and improve our productivity and competitiveness both domestically and internationally. There's a lot of evidence that businesses, because of the pandemic, because of Brexit uncertainty, have probably pulled back a little bit from their R&D spend in the last 12 months, which is probably a natural reaction given the challenges they face, but it needs to be re-engaged and helped moved on and that investment pushed up if we're to be as competitive as we want to be. So yes, we're very much supporting our R&D. Again, it depends on what type of R&D it is, and it needs to be on a case-by-case basis. But I'm happy to take a contact with the questioner as well and see if we can assist. And we are about to launch a new Santander R&D finance package later in the first quarter, which may be of interest, and I will share that with all our partners once we're ready to go on that. But very important for all UK businesses, R&D.
Mark, if I may, as I see that Paul has picked up on the first part of the question, I picked up on the graphene and so on. I thought this is the one which is very specific one, but in terms of research and development, by all means. And I've mentioned, I don't know if the person asking the question joined from the very beginning, but we mentioned that research and development now is at the heart of development here in Central Europe. I mentioned JLR's engineering office here in Hungary, but I also mentioned that governments and number of them are investing in research and technology here in Central Europe, this being their priority, being aware that they are not able to be competitive with now cheaper markets in Southern Europe or elsewhere in the world. So they try to be, more competitive in terms of engineering and research. And to be honest, what we are trying to do is also kind of connect companies from the region with UK, first of all, research facilities or UK research and engineering companies. One of the idea is to support companies that would add value to their business and develop intellectual property. That's one. Another idea is working with companies that here have, let's say, capacities for mass scale production, but would get in touch with UK companies that have designed or have thought of, let's say, I don't know, a battery and so on, that they are not able to take, let's say, after the Faraday challenge, after the initial support, they are not able to take it to a mass scale. So yeah, that's my input. Definitely, I was thinking about specific about graphene. Yes, thanks.
Perfect. So we've got a couple more that have come in now. So I supply engineering design in lightweight automotive structures. Is there an opportunity for helping with this technology? Again, open that one to the all of the panel.
Hello, it's Małgorzata from Poland. I can take that one because it is one of the identified areas of opportunities in the market here. Yes, absolutely. The question is we can follow that up. Actually, lightweight components and manufacturers are members of associations that I'm working with, local Polish-based. So we've got in place an industry day that will be one of the platforms to meet up with potential contacts. So if whoever asks the questions, please do get in touch via you, Mark, or Barbara, or directly. And if there is any need sooner than that, I will make an introduction, or just will wait for the industry day to come up.
Thank you very much. So I've also got one for Ruta, which is, given the green agenda and future focus on smart mobility, is the SMMT geared up to support UK automotive companies to navigate and work through the transition to build expertise in the low carbon arena?
Yes. So we do have in place various sort of committees and groups that help them work on that agenda specifically. So I guess it's the best thing to do if you know they can get in touch, so I can point the person to the colleague who works and sort of supports the agenda and works daily on those targets. So yes, please do get in touch so I can point them to the right people. But we do have in place all the mechanisms for the support.
So I'm gonna ask one last question, which is for the whole floor, which has just come in, which is we have developed a unique 60 kilowatt brushless DC motor for EV vehicles. We have developed it into the prototype stage, so we may be looking to partnership with a manufacturer in LCCs. How do we go about this?
Similar to what I mentioned before, that yes, this definitely should be scoped for interest. We should definitely see the whole project and the exact area. But I definitely see the potential in that. I mentioned one company from Central Europe, from here in Hungary, that was ready to take up a project, let's say on battery development, and we've connected them with potential suppliers or let's say companies that have designed a battery to start with, and then made the connection with this company that could have taken the production mass scale. So it's definitely on our radar, and we are definitely interested in supporting you in finding such a potential partner. Obviously, this will depend on the case. This will depend on the product or the service. Maybe in one country there will be interest for it, in another no. But we need to examine that, right? So yes, please do get in touch with us. And as I said, we usually start with a call on Teams just to see what is it about and how we can and if we can support you. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So that's all we've got time for today. So I would like to thank my colleague Jenny Pisoni, our speakers Ruta, Paul, Lupcho, Tim, Gabor, Emanuela, Małgorzata and Michał. I'd also like to thank Barbara Singleton, who is the Department for International Trade South West Advanced Engineer Sector Specialist, who organised today's event. And for myself, Business West, the Department for International Trade South West. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we hope you have a good rest of your day and a good week. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.